Welcome to Cambridge Summer Music Festival Online. My name is Freya Goldmark, I'm a violinist and I'm the festival director here. Although we haven't been able to bring you music in person this summer, I've spent the last couple of weeks catching up with lots of our 2020 artists. Graham Walker is a cellist and the co-founder of Classico Latino. Last week I had a great chat with Graham. We talked about Classico Latino, the story behind the ensemble and what they've been up to during lockdown. Everyone said, well, we must have Classico Latino.
Oh, that's nice.
They're a core favourite of the.
Well, we
the
certainly enjoy. I mean,
festival.
it's my local town, so it's a short commute, quite apart from anything else.
So, for our audiences that don't know Classico Latino, can you give me a bit of the history behind the whole thing?
Well, we started when I was back a student in the late 1990s at St John's in Cambridge, and I was playing cello, singing in the choir at St John's, studying maths, and there was a Colombian PhD student called Ivan, who had come over from Colombia to study law, and at a sort of welcome lunch for postgrads in the college, he saw the grand piano in the Master's Lodge, and wanted to have a go at playing it because he was a pianist himself. And the master at the time said, "That's fine, but could you play something from your own country?" So he did, and immediately the master said, "Well, why don't you come to a concert?" And so people said, "Well, that's a nice idea, but wouldn't it be good to team the piano up with a cello so you've got something a little bit, a variety of textures?" So Ivan asked me if I'd have a go at it, and I thought, well, why not give it a whirl? Very well to play the notes, but the focus was very much on the message behind the music.
Mm-hmm.
So right from the word go, it was a very different way of making music. The focus was much less on accurately playing what's written on the page, which of course, as you know, is a major constituent part of playing classical music. With Latin music, it's important to play, the shape of the song, but what's much more important is the message and the mood and the character. And so I would be asking about these songs, and he'd tell me the stories behind the singers or the composers. Mm-hmm. Very often there's a narrative to the song, and it's almost always about unrequited love. So it was immediately kind of attractive to me because it was so different, and because Ivan and I were very different people. It was interesting to see how the two personalities of the sort of party-loving Latino and the rather reserved Englishman might kind of get on. But we did, and the music turned out to be very kind of suitable for cello and piano. There's something, as you know, very soulful about the cello, and it sings in a way that the human voice would sing, but it also is able to be virtuosic and percussive. So that happened in the early years of the 2000s, and then from then on, we've been sort of gradually developing the repertoire and developing the sound. More recently, in 2012, we recorded Abbey Road, our third album. That was. Journey through Latin America. That was an amazing mixture of the whole premise of Classico Latino, I guess, is the mixture between the Latin American core repertoire and the slightly European sound. But that was the first time that we really mixed together the European sound of the strings and the piano with Latin percussion. Actually, what the bigger group gives us is a kind of lively, rhythmic, danceable sound that really seems to mix the European heritage with the Latin American sound.
Wow, what a huge evolution to go through.
It certainly is for me. Yeah,
that must have been really freeing. As a lot of classical musicians find it so scary to let go.
I started about 10 years ago, writing arrangements properly, 15 years perhaps. When we started off, it was a question of, you play the tune here and I play the tune there, and then I would put some thirds underneath and some sixths and stuff, and to kind of make basic harmony.
Yeah.
But then I realized that, what happens in the tradition of Latin music and in much of world music, and of course used to be the case in European music too, was that you take the music score as a kind of bare bones and you'd improvise around it. And certainly there'd be sections where there would be a lot of freedom. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to create something that kind of that riffs on that, if you like, that we could create some dialogue between the instruments that's kind of composed, because I wasn't kind of by that stage free enough to improvise, but also that just has that slight air of freedom about it. But it's not until very recently that I personally have had the kind of freedom to kind of really get off the score and improvise. We've been playing a lot with an amazing Cuban violinist called Omar Puente. He actually trained classically in Cuba, but is all about the kind of jazz improv now. I mean, he's absolutely remarkable. I mean, the virtuosity combined with the expression is amazing, and he's a stage presence to be reckoned with. And kind of watching him at work was a real inspiration, certainly. He does a big improvisation in the middle, and it's heavily sort of blues inspired, his improv, and it starts in this beautifully kind of expressive, soulful way, and then builds up this virtuosity with sort of riffs on sort of barriolage that you might expect to find in Bach or Vivaldi, but still in this kind of Cuban bluesy way. I think it's wonderful.
Been to Cuba, haven't you?
Yeah, we went to record. We recorded the album there, which was pretty hot.
Temperature-wise, or
yes, in many ways. In many ways. There are stories I can't possibly repeat today.
Under your biography, it says to ask you about a mayor and a vicar.
sounds like a limerick.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we were playing many years ago with the wonderful violinist Harriet Mackenzie. On that occasion, we were up in the mountains above Bogota in Colombia, and it was a big festival of international music festival. And there was a youth orchestra from Venezuela, and we were there, and various other artists were there. And there was a concert in the town square. So it was a little kind of historic town right over the mountains. And as was often the way in those towns, the church is right on the market square. And inevitably, the vicar didn't get on with the mayor, and the mayor didn't get on with the vicar, and the mayor decided to schedule the main concert of the festival, of that bit of the festival, at the time for mass, the church. And so there was a very public disagreement between the mayor and the vicar and the priest. And then while the orchestra was playing, the priest rang the bells for mass, right in the middle.
Amazing. How's it received in Colombia or Cuba? So when you're showing them these European kind of takes on their traditional music, how does that kind of, it must be something they don't experience all the time.
I remember the first trip to Colombia, and that was very much the question. This is fine, we play it in Europe, and people don't know the tunes. It's not their heritage, but it could so easily have gone really badly. You could imagine a situation where they would think, who are these ridiculous English people coming and playing our music? But actually, what we found was, for a number of interesting sort of societal reasons, it goes down incredibly well. This is music which everybody knows, and there isn't really an equivalent in England, certainly, of what they call the folkloric music. It's kind of popular music which everybody knows. I suppose the closest might be sort of Land of Hope and Glory, I guess. It's not folk music in the sense that we would understand folk music, in that it's always written by a person, and it's not as old as that. You know, we go back to about 1920 or 1910. So it's really it's kind of current in that it's been danced within living memory. So, you know, parents and grandparents would have danced this stuff, and it's very much in the kind of public consciousness. And it's a way in which the national spirit is embodied in this music. So when we, as European musicians, turn up in dinner jackets or whatever and stand on a stage in the opera house and kind of give this music, this cultural heritage that they have, a kind of respect that it doesn't normally get, the response is really overwhelming, particularly for Colombia, which is the majority of our experience. They're very well aware that it's not a country that has a brilliant press overseas, or certainly hasn't had it. You know, for a long time, and it's getting better now, but for a long time it was about guns and drugs. And that's how they're aware that that's how they're perceived overseas. And so for them to think, actually, we've got these problems, but actually we have an amazing musical and cultural heritage, which people from as far away as England are willing to kind of put time and effort and expertise into what they would say rescuing and reimagining and reperforming. That I think gives them a lot of a kind of warm feeling.
Obviously, we're in a very strange time right now for everyone, and as musicians, it's a difficult time to know what to do and what we're doing. But Classico Latino was on it very quickly with, you know, getting things together. So what have you been up to?
In terms of being creative and kind of staying in touch with your followers, we were very quick to see the value in broadcasting from quarantine. I did a little video about a particular song that had a resonance for me, and Ivan's done lots of Sunday evenings. He calls them songs to remember. It's live streamed on Facebook, so he can stay in touch with people who are leaving comments. We've done some more formal things where we've recorded each person in quarantine and kind of spliced the video together. It's just a way of kind of being active and keeping the music alive at a time when otherwise we'd just be sitting at home thinking, you know, when on earth are we ever going to be able to do a concert again? Following on from Ivan's live broadcasts on Facebook on Sunday nights, we're going to be doing something a bit bigger than that on Sundays in the autumn, and it'll be called Rum Sundays.
Okay.
So the idea is that we talk about particular events, particular concerts, particular themes that have kind of formed us as a group, and we're going to have a chat, Ivan and I, or with other members of the group with some videos that we've recorded in the past, some audio, some kind of discussion about the songs, a bit more like it would be in a live concert, just without the live concert. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in our concerts, we always talk about the songs, we always talk about our history, and kind of bring the process of making music and the process of kind of living a group to life for the audience, which I think is part of the attraction. And so that's very much what we'll be doing for our Rum Sundays in the autumn.
Do you feel a kind of a special affinity with performing in Cambridge and seeing the kind of an audience that you know, and is it special in some way? It's
absolutely special. Yeah, I mean it's lovely to see the people that I interact with on a day-to-day basis. I mean, as you know, my day jobs are conducting choirs and teaching the cello in schools. So, you know, when I go on stage with the band and we do this Cuban or Colombian or whatever, and they just see an entirely different way of making music, and I love the kind of sense of surprise. My students, when they arrive and they don't know anything about this, and then gradually you kind of sense that they're aware that there's another kind of string to my bow, which is lovely. The live performance is really what it's about.
Absolutely,
and that's the thing that we've really lost at the moment.
Yeah, completely. But we're very much looking forward to having you back next year.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, so are we. I mean, it's can't come soon enough.
No, it can't. It definitely can't. No, it's been really great chatting to you.
Yeah, you too, Freya.
Yeah, thank you. If you've enjoyed this video, you can head over to our website and sign up to our mailing list. Also, please consider donating so that we can continue to bring you great music in the future.